Hello, friends. Namaste and welcome to BLF Talks. In today's video, we are going to look at a very widely used term, but frankly speaking, not a very well understood term called karma. So let's try to understand what karma is all about in this video. So primarily, the first question that comes to everyone's mind is, what is karma? So a karma is nothing but any kind of a deed or an action that you perform in your day-to-day life or during your lifetime. Or even it can be a thought that comes to your mind. So it could be either a deed or action or even a thought in your mind. But what exactly is karma? Is it something like a cause and a effect kind of a relationship that the karma has with your life? Or is it some kind of a reward or punishment that you do good karma, you'll get a reward, you do a bad karma and you'll get a punishment, that kind of a relationship? Actually, it's not. I mean, it's neither a cause and effect nor a reward or punishment kind of a relationship that we have with our karma. Yes, there will be certain repercussions of the karma or whatever actions that you do or whatever thoughts you bring in your mind during your lifetime, but it's not a direct relationship. So let's try to understand, how the karma works. What kind of karmas do we perform in life? What is Karmayoga? The cycle of karma, or all that kind of information we'll try to gather through this video. Now, coming to karma. Before going to the types of karma, let me just tell you a very interesting story, because in the ancient Indian scriptures, you'll find karma as one of the key things which is being preached in many of the texts. So if you look at Mahabharata, there are multiple stories that talk about karma. Even the Bhagavad Gita is full of talks on karma yoga, where Krishna explains Arjuna what is exactly karma, and why he should really look at karma as the prime goal in his life, performing his duties, right? So there is an interesting story of a sage or ascetic in Mahabharata, where this ascetic has left his all worldly things, his family and everything, and he has gone for doing meditation and trying to get higher powers, basically. So this guy, this sage, one day was actually standing in the river and trying to give arghya, or he was trying to give oblation to the rising sun. And he was standing in the water, he was holding the water in his hand and just trying to give the oblation, and at the same point of time, a bird was flying from in the sky, and the bird dropping fell into his hands. Now this ascetic, he was very, very furious because of that, and he looked with very very much anger in his eyes, and he looked at the bird, and the bird turned into ashes because of his divinely powers that he had received through his meditations. So after completing his worship and morning rituals, he left to go to multiple houses to ask for bhiksha, which is the alms. So the sages generally used to ask for alms in the morning for at 5 to 10 houses, and whatever they used to get, they used to survive on those alms only. So this guy went from door to door, and he went to one of the ladies' house and asks the lady, saying that, Om Bhavati Bhikshan Dehi, hey lady of the house, please give me some alms. Hearing that lady came out and said, just wait for some time, and she went inside. Again, after some time, she came out and said, hey, please wait, let me complete my work, let me complete my duties, and then I'll come and give you the bhiksha. Because of the long wait, this ascetic, he started feeling very very furious, and he said, now if you'll not come out and give me the bhiksha, I'm going to curse you. That lady came out and said, hey, I'm still not done with my duty, so you'll have to wait, and I'm not that bird, which can be burnt into ashes, right? And then she went inside. Now hearing that, that guy, that ascetic, the sage, was so really surprised. How does this lady know about it? It happened, no one saw that incident when you looked at the bird and the bird turned into ashes, and he had not told this to anyone since morning. So how does this lady know? So after some time, when that lady came and gave the alms, he asked her, how do you know about this? She said, I don't have to be an ascetic, I don't have to leave my family and all to get those worldly get those special powers from the god, right? Then that ascetic asked, then how do you manage that, without leaving your worldly duties? Then she said, if you really want to know, please go and visit Dharma Vyadha, that's the name of a guy in Kashi. So this ascetic was very very curious, so he thought, I'll let me go to Kashi and understand what all this is about. How can I get the godly powers without even doing leaving my family or doing any kind of meditation or anything? So this guy goes there, and he prays. He sorry starts searching for this guy in Kashi, and he initially thought that this must be a very famous guy, but no one knows him. So after long search, finally in a very small lane, there is a very dirty small shop where someone says that, okay, Dharma Vyada lives here, or is there inside. So this sage goes inside and he sees, oh, it's a butcher shop. So this guy is a butcher, killing the innocent animals and selling the meat, basically. So he was really furious, again, how come this lady sent me to a butcher, when I'm a sage who doesn't even touch meat, so but he still calmly tries to wait there, and after this guy closes his shop, he comes out with him and then asks him, what makes you do this kind of work, don't you feel bad about what you're doing? He says, it's our family business, so I have to continue doing this, and this is my karma, this is what I'm supposed to do, to run my family and make sure that my children go to good schools and everything, right? So that's why I'm doing it. So I have an acceptance of the reality. And whatever I'm doing it with dedication, with devotion. So hearing that, this sage understands that for attaining God or attaining the superpowers, you do not have to leave your basic duties. It's a very interesting take on karma, basically, in Mahabharata. There are multiple such stories. There is one story about even prostitute who attains higher powers. You really need to take karma in a very different way. Now, coming to what karma is all about again. In our normal life, we do certain actions, right? And here you can see, this guy is pushing something down, and he thinks that nothing will happen to him. But at some point of time, it's a circle, right? So it will come back to you, and you will see the repercussions of that in a different way. It may not be in the exact way that you expect. And then if you do good karma, you can even stop that effect, right? So you can do good karma, and then you can stop the bad effects, and your future life will get better and better if you do good karmas. So it's as simple as that. Now it's again how you look at things. If two people are kind of climbing somewhere, Now there are two ways of looking at it. It can either be a very very difficult climb, and at the end of it, the kind of the happiness that you get out of climbing such difficult rocks is different than just climbing a stair, basically, right? But then you have to do that climbing, you have to keep doing your karma, and then you'll still get what you deserve. Now, if we have to really look at what kind of or types of karmas are there, so there are four types of karmas which are being kind of primarily defined, and these are being explained in the, as I said, Vedic text and also in Bhagavad Gita. So if you look at the karma, there is one type of karma which is called vikarma, which are the sins. It's very easy to understand what are sins, right? Something which is socially not acceptable, something which is not considered good, is the vikarma, or the sin, or a bad thing. It could either an action again, or it can be a thought as well. Now, if you look at the second type of karma, it's called akarma, or ignorance. Now, akarma is where you do not do anything. I mean, you just ignore things, you don't take things seriously, absolutely are not ready to move and do anything. That is the worst kind of a karma. I mean, if you're not doing your duties properly, you're being very lazy, not very interested in what you're doing, then that's called a karma, or the ignorance. The third type of karma is the sakama karma, or the bounded deeds. So this is something that we saw in that last story that I told you about, that ascetic, where he understood that your worldly duties, your day-to-day things are extremely important, right? So that's called the sakama karma, which is like something that you're expected to do, your responsibilities towards your family, your children, your parents, your colleagues, friends, whatever, right? So those karmas are supposed to be done, if and that's called sakama karma. So sakama karma is where you have certain expectations from what you do. Like if you do your job, you expect at least some salary to be given to you at the end of the month. But there is the best type of karma, which is called the nishkama karma. Nishkama karma is a selfless deed that you do, right? Like for a needy person, if you give something without any expectation in the return, or helping someone who is in need, that's called the nishkama karma, where you are completely selfless, you're not expecting anything in return. That is the topmost or the best kind of karma that you can ever do. So now let's look at what's the connection between the karma or the actions that you perform and your consciousness, right? So there is a deep rooted connection between both the karma and the consciousness. It's like you have the actions and thoughts that you produce, but if you that's the outermost layer that you can really see and visualize as someone is performing something or doing something or thinking something. But there are multiple layers, like the peels of the onion, that you can see beneath the actual actions. There are multiple things beyond that. So let's try to understand how the actual actions come into picture, based on the multiple layers which are beneath there. So the outermost layer, as I said, is the action or the speech that you have, basically. So that's something that someone can really see, visualize, hear, but those actions come out of basically your thoughts, right? So the thoughts get generated. From those thoughts, you actually start doing certain actions, or your speech comes out, right? Now, but is thought the core of it? No. The thoughts come out in a particular way because of your ego, your ahamkara. Now ego is again a different term, so we'll have a separate video on ego sometime later. But primarily ego is what you yourself identify with, right? Your identity. So you generate some kind of an identity. It's like a cocoon that you build around yourself, saying that okay, this is what I am, basically. But frankly speaking, unless until you break that cocoon and come out, you release your ego, you move away from your ego, you will not be able to become a butterfly and fly out. So ego is something which is something which many times binds you in doing or in acting in a particular way. uh, but is ego the ultimate thing? No. The ego gets generated because of your desires, the karma. So you have multiple desires in your mind. You want to be something, you want to own something, you want to have something, you want to be loved in a particular way, you want people to look at you in a particular way. So there are multiple kinds of desires. You want multiple things from the world and people around you. So those desires actually are creating or that cocoon or the ego around you. But again, desires are not the things. The desires come out of, there are deep impressions that get generated from your childhood, from your birth, from your past karmas, past life, everything, which are called the sanskaras. These are the deep impressions in your mind, in your soul, in your everything, in your thoughts. So these sanskaras actually generate the desires and the ego and then the thoughts, basically. But then again, sanskaras are not the only thing. I mean, sanskaras are generated from some kinds of avidya and ignorance. So they're influenced by, because you have certain things, boundaries which are being built with your sanskaras. You think this is the way to act and behave and do things. These are the impressions that you have generated, but there is avidya, there is ignorance which is also influencing it. But then at the core of it is your consciousness. So if your conscious is clear, if your mind is set on the right things, if you are very very clear in what you want to do, that consciousness can influence again all these circles up to the actions or the speech. So if your conscious is pure, if your conscious is clear, your actions will automatically come out in the right way. So that's the deeper connection that I was talking about between the conscious and the karma. Karmanyevaधिकारस्य ma phaleshu kadachana. I think that is a very famous verse from Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna again tries to explain Arjuna, why he should keep doing his karma without looking at the fruits of the karma. Right? Again, this verse is again not completely well understood by many people. So people think that I should not have any aim, or look at what I will get at the end of or doing certain actions, right? That's not what it means actually. It's like you need to always have an aim. You always need to work towards a goal. So goals are very very important in your life. So Krishna is not saying that you should not have any goals. You should have goals, you should have aims, and you should put all your efforts and do your karma righteously to reach out to those goals, or towards your aim. But what he's trying to say is that even though you put full efforts, put on your full energy to achieve those goals and reach out to your aims, it may not always give you the desired results. And that's what he's trying to explain, and he explains it further in the Gita as well, by talking about the karmic cycle. And it's not just the current karmas that you perform in your current life or in the present which affect the actual achievement of the goals or non-achievement of the goals. It's also your sanchita karma and other types of karmas which actually also play a role in whether you're successful or not successful, even after putting good effort towards your goals. So that's what is the karmic cycle. And I think, all of us need to understand what the karmic cycle is, how it actually can affect the things which are happening in your life. So if we look at it in the current life, whatever state you are in, whether you are happy, whether you are having pains, you are having sorrows, if you are having physical issues, mental issues, everything is going perfectly fine for you. Any kind of a state that you are currently in, that is also because of your sanchita karma, the accumulated karma. This is the karma which you have done in your past life, or maybe in your previous life as well. So all this is the sanchita karma, or accumulated. It's like those arrows which are already being kind of gathered by you. That is affecting your current life. Then there is a kriyamana karma, so something which is imminent, or the new karma that you're planning to perform, right? So it's something like taking out the arrow and trying to do something. So that's kind of more of a the present day stuff. Then you have the prarabdha karma, where you have already done some action, or some thoughts have crossed your mind already, or you have already carried out certain things which are going to affect your life in the future, right? So that is the prarabdha karma. Now they may immediately affect you, they may affect you maybe many years down the line, they may affect you in the next life as well. That how it affects you is a different thing, but that's the prarabdha karma, or karma of the current actions that you have already performed. And the fourth but most important thing is the potential, or the future karma. So it is something that you are thinking about to do in the future, right? And the action that you will carry out in the future. The action that you will carry out in the future will at some point of time become the sanchita karma, because you will perform those actions, and then those will become the karmas which you have performed in the past, right? So it's a complete cycle that you have to really understand. So all these types of karmas, your new karmas, your current karmas, your future karmas, and your accumulated the previous past karmas, all these are currently affecting your life, and they are going to create positive or negative impact on your life. So it's very, very important that we consistently do good karma, and always bring the right positive good thoughts in our minds to make our life happy, peaceful, serene, and blissful. So that's how you should look at karma. So if you really want to understand what karma is, what is Karmayoga, and how does it affect your life, it's very, very important that you understand certain verses in Bhagavad Gita very well. So I'm just quoting a few of them here. So there's one verse in Bhagavad Gita in chapter 3 verse 8, which says, Niyatam kuru karmatvam karma jayo yak karmanah sharira yatra pichatena prasiddheda karmanah. What this really means is that you need to keep performing your karmas, your duties religiously, righteously, because any action is better than inaction. So you should not just remain silent. You should not just remain without doing your duties. You should always keep on doing your karma, and try to correct your course, try to do the things in the right manner, and keep doing your prescribed duties. And if you get into inaction, it is always going to impact your physical body and your mental state as well. So please keep doing your karma, and keep correcting your course so that you are more righteous, more inclined towards the dharma, basically. So that's what Bhagavad Gita talks about. There are multiple such verses. There is one important message that Bhagavad Gita also gives, which says that uh, whatever duty you are doing, whatever karma you are performing, you have to surrender everything to the God. Okay. And you have to focus on your inner self. There should not be any expectations, no attachments, and no desires. That's ultimately the truth, which will take you to a happy, joyful, peaceful, serene, and blissful life. Thank you. Thanks for listening to the podcast. Thank you. Bye bye.